We're now on Dcad lesson 13A, and we're going to be pulling away from the site plan and dealing with drawing organization and sheet notes. So I'm dealing with drawing T1, as you can see up here in the title bar, which is not the site plan. And I'm going to hit L for layers, and I'm going to go down here to the filter and just click on active or named layers only, because it really reduces the number of layers that we have to look at. And I'm going to scroll on down here to layer 54 because I want the border up. And I'm going to scroll up to the layer 23, which has to do with the property lines, and you can see that that's the current active layer. That's where we left off on that one. I'm going to double click on layer 2 to make that the current active layer. It says text for the main floor plan, and I'm going to turn off the lights on the property lines. Also the foundation plan, I'm going to turn off the lights on that and on lines. And I'm going to turn on layer 1 and layer 3 for exterior openings. And we don't have any fixtures in this at this point in time. And let's see, let me scroll down here and see what else is in the roof plan. Text I can get rid of. I'm going to turn off the light there, and the text for roof framing I can get rid of. And let's see what we have left here. Let's click OK. And essentially we have basically the floor plan. So what we're going to do is see how many drawings, plan view quadrant scale drawings, we can get on this sheet, which will be A2. The site plan and the elevations will be on sheet A1. Floor plan drawing, the wall bracing plan, foundation plan, roof framing plan, and possibly the section and details. We'll see if we can fit them all on this sheet. The other thing we're going to need to place on the sheet is the sheet notes, and because we're going to have multiple drawings on this sheet, we're going to have sheet notes addressing several of the drawings. And so in order to do that, the first thing that I need to do is pull in my one of my sheet notes symbols. And so I'm going to hit Control F9, and that takes me to symbols, and the last symbols that I dealt with were in the sheet. I'm going to go up one level just so you can see that the various in the symbols directory, all of the various subdirectories. And so the sheet notes are down here. And so what I want to do is I'm using the sheet note legend 1 for the site plan. And so I'm going to just skip on down to sheet note legend 41. For sheet A2 here. And so I'm just going to double click on that, and you can see that the handle is just above and to the right of the symbol itself. I'm going to right click to this corner of the border for the drawing. And so you can see that the sheet notes have been imported in there as a symbol. And so right now it's just a symbol. So what I need to do is I need to explode this symbol so that I can deal with the various lines of text within the sheet note. So I'm going over here to my selection explode, and I'm just going to click that, and you can see that now you can see all the handles for the individual text. I'm going to zoom up here just so you can get a better look at it. So you can see that I'm going to hit escape. So you can see the sheet note box for 41 and 2 lines of text. Some of the sheet notes will have a single line, some of the sheet notes will have multiple lines. And so as we import these sheet notes, we'll be adjusting the spacing of the sheet note boxes up or down depending on how many lines of text there are, so that it'll be kind of neat and clean and we keep things as compressed as possible. Most of the individual drawings will have sheet notes that explain various items in the drawing or things like reinforcing or requirements for that particular component of the construction. So I'm going to hit Control W to zoom back on out here. And so because we'll be having multiple drawings on this sheet, we'll be addressing various sheet notes specific to the individual drawings, but some of the sheet notes will apply to more than one drawing. Generally, I try to only indicate something once on the drawing, but sometimes it's important to show particular items in more than one place, just to give a better understanding of what's supposed to take place there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click on my Google Sheets. I'm using Google Sheets here to deal with my various sheet notes, and what this allows me to do is to break the sheet notes down into individual drawings. And here at the top of each column, you'll see elevation sheet notes. Now those will actually be going into the site plan A1 drawing, where the elevations are going to be, but also have floor plan sheet notes, foundation plan sheet notes, roof plans, and so on and so forth. And so these sheet notes from column B, C, D, and E will all be located on sheet A2, the one that we're dealing with right now. And so what this does is this allows me to organize the various sheet notes specifically for a drawing, although some of these may apply to more than one of the drawings on that sheet. So because I'm going to click back over here to the sheet notes and zoom up on the sheet notes themselves. And you know, this column has a given width. I don't want to occupy any more of the sheet than I have to, because I need a lot of room for drawings. So what I've done, I'm going back to Google Sheets, and what I've done is with these various columns, I've sized them. And if you right-click at the top of the column, it'll allow you to go down here to resize column, and the size that actually works for my sheet notes symbols or the sheet note column is 315. And so so if you size all your columns to 315, you should be able to import the various sheet note lines from Google Sheets right into Dcad. It's really a pretty clean and neat and easy way to do it. So at this point in time, I'm going to leave this drawing up for a little bit. I'm going to click down here to unhighlight things, so that you'll have what I would recommend doing is just pausing the drawing and copying these various sheet notes into your own columns in your own version of Google Sheets. And you can save it as D0614 sheet notes or whatever you want to call it, whatever works for you. But if you can just copy these line by line, I'm putting this space between the title line, or the title cell actually, and I'm putting spaces between any group of sheet notes. In other words, this, for example, for this glulam beam, it's a 5.5 by 13.5 24F visually graded Western species glulam beam above. So this is all one note actually, but it takes two lines. And I have some larger ones. As we get over into the foundation plan, I get a little verbose and start talking about floor slabs and what has to be involved in that floor slab. So this one, you can tell, will have 6 lines of text essentially. So we'll be moving things in that sheet note column on the drawings up and down to accommodate however many lines of text we have. So we're going to start with the floor plan sheet notes because we have it up, you know, and we'll just start with that one. And so what I'm going to do is, my first sheet note only has one line. So I'm going to go back, click on the drawing, and because all the sheet notes in my sheet note symbol are set up for 2 lines, and it's just sort of an average, you know, sometimes they're single, sometimes they're multiple lines. So what we have to do is we have to adjust all of the sheet notes below, either up or down, to accommodate the number of lines that we're dealing with. So if I hit Q in Dcad, it's going to call up my options, and if I click on cursor, it tells me that my large step size, that's my large cursor step size, is 1, and my small step size is 0.175. And the reason I have that small step size at 0.175 is because I have my text size at 0.35. So 1.175 is half of that. So typically the way I space my text is, since it's 0.35 in height, I will have a space below of half of that, or 0.175, before I have my next line of text. And it just makes it a pretty straightforward and easy way to deal with things. So I'm going to just cancel this right now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, at this point in time, I have no idea how many of these we'll be using, because I may be even adding some more to my Google Sheets as time goes on, as I think of something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this first line of text and just hit delete on my keyboard, and I'm going to select all of these text boxes sheet note boxes and the text included with them, and I'm noticing that my selection rectangle, I'm going way out to the right, and that reason is it puts my handle out of the way of anything. So I'm going to hit the comma to gravity move to this handle, and I'm going to hit M for move, and I'm holding down Shift and use my up arrow, and I'm going to hit it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And so that ends up being at each step, and then I'm going to hit enter. So each step is 0.175. And so what that means is that I've taken that up one letter or one character height of 0.35 and one gap, because that's what we've just gotten rid of. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom up on that first area. I'm starting out with sheet note 41, and I'm going to click over here on Google Sheets, and I'm just going to click in this cell, and then I'm just hitting Control C, and that copies the text in that cell. And then I'm clicking back to Dcad. I'm just going to select this text, just right click and select it, and I'm going to call up my info box over here. And you can see that it says that's 2D text, and its text is what it's saying in there. So I'm just going to select that and hit Control V and hit enter. Now what's happened is that it's changed the word text to the sheet note. Now you can see also in the info box that the text is still red, and so as I go down through the various sheet notes, I'm going to be changing the color to black. So black is my color. You can see it over here, and at the top of the color toolbox. So if I hit A, it'll apply it. Okay, and you can see right here in the info box, it's just turned that text black. So that's for single lines. It's really easy just to change the text. You just select it and use the info box to change it. Now I'm going to pull my info box down and out of the way. Now I'm going back to Google to see what my next sheet notes are. So what I want to do now is because I've actually already used this one, and I need to kind of keep track of it in case something comes up to distract it. I'm going to just click out of the way and select this text, and I'm going to change the color of it to red, and just click somewhere else. So that means that I've already done it. It's sort of the opposite of what we're doing in Dcad. You can do it any way you want. Here I have essentially 2 lines of text, and this one's going to be pretty easy because our sheet notes, clicking back to Dcad, are set up for 2 lines of text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little different method. First, I'm going to go back to Google Sheets, and I'm going to select both of these lines. We're dealing with a glulam beam for the garage door header. And so I've selected them. You can see that they've turned blue. And I'm going to hit Control C to copy them. And you can see that I've done this little dashed line around my selection. So that's been copied to the clipboard on the computer. Now I'm going to go back into Dcad. And this time I'm going to go over to the text block and instead of just text. And this time, instead of using the info box, I'm just going to click in here, and I'm hit Control V to paste those 2 lines in. And you can see that it's pasted those 2 lines in beautifully. But a couple things that we need to make sure of. One is that the line spacing is 0.5. That means that 0.5 means it's going to be half of the character height. The character height is 0.35, and so the line spacing of 0.5 is going to be essentially half of that. Also, that our text size is 0.35, and then also we need to have our angle of our text at 90, and right now it's at 0. So if I pull it over here, you can see it wants to look go vertical. So I'm going to turn this, select that, and turn that to 90. And now there's a characteristic of the text block that's a little different from just doing normal text. It puts the handle at the upper left-hand corner of the text instead of the lower one. And there's a reason for that, but a little complex to get into now. So what I want to do is I just want to go over here near my 2 lines of red text and right-click to the top left corner, I'm sorry. So I just click it there, and you can actually bend the text around, but if I just hit enter or hit my scroll button, it lays it right in line with it, right over those 2 texts, the red text words. So now I can just use a selection box and select those 2 words, and those 2 words of text, and if I'm not sure if I have them or not, I can just click somewhere to unselect, click one of them, you can see it says text and it's red. And I can click the other one and see that it's red and says text. But the easy way to select them is just to do a selection rectangle and then hit delete, and they're gone. So what we have is 2 ways of entering the sheet notes from Google Sheets into the sheet note legend in Dcad. So what we'll do is we'll go through and list all of these down through the various sheet notes, and the other thing that we'll be doing is we'll be changing the layer that we're dealing with to correspond with the particular drawing we're dealing with. That's not a must-do, but it's good practice simply because it helps us organize the text with that specific drawing. We're going to be scooting things around here once we get going. So I think what I'll do is just put one additional sheet note entry in there, and so I'm going to click on Google Sheets. And again, I have 2 lines of text, so that's going to work nicely. I don't need to move any of the text down. So I'm going to just click here and click both of those, and hit Control-C to copy them to the clipboard. You can see it's vacated the previous one and put the dash line around the ones I've just selected and copied. So now I'm going back to Dcad and clicking on it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the text block, and you can see it's already highlighted. And it's already highlighted so that I can just start typing, or I can hit Control-V and it'll just replace that highlighted text. So I'm going to hit Control-V, and you can see it's a different sheet note. So I can bring this one on down now, and you can see that our previous settings of line spacing 0.5, text size, and the 90-degree angle have remained until I close the drawing and reopen it. Then it all goes back to whatever. So I'm going to just bring it to this upper left-hand corner of the double text, right-click, and snap it into place, and I'm hitting my scroll button, and there we have it. So now I'm going to select the 2 red texts, and if I'm not sure what all I'm selecting, I can always pull up the info box and see that it's red, and then I'm going to hit delete. But I got to be in Dcad in order to do it. Delete. Okay, so now we have 3 lines or 3 sheet note boxes of text. So I'm going to go back to Google Sheets, and actually both this line here. Let me click here. First, let me hit escape. Click here. Sometimes you got to double click, and I'm going to turn that one to red, and then double click here and grab that one and turn that one to red also. It's kind of laborious to do that, but it's just good practice, because that way you know you've already done it if you get distracted or called away or have to deal with a phone call or something. This one here, select that one and turn it to red. So essentially we've done 3 sheet notes here, and I'm going to do one more because it's interesting to see how we move things again. Once again, we'll be doing the same thing we did before when we had to move everything up by holding shift down and hitting the up arrow in Dcad. So in order to do that, we know that our next sheet note is only one line, and the one after that is only one line. So I'm going back to Dcad. I'm going to hit Control W to zoom out, and then I'm going to hit Z to zoom into just the sheet notes. And I'm going, since both of these only have one line of text, I can deal with them both pretty quickly. I'm hitting delete. I grab the lower text and hit delete. And then the next one, I'm grabbing the lower text and hitting delete. So I'm going to select all of this, all these sheet note boxes and text, and go over to my handle and gravity move with a comma, and hit M for move. And I'm going to hold down Shift and the up arrow 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And hit Enter. And now I'm going to do the one just below that and select everything and go to my handle by hitting gravity move. That's a comma. And hit M for move. And I'm going to hold down Shift and hit 3 arrows to move that one up 3 times. Okay, so what that allows us to do is enter in these 2 single lines of sheet notes. And what it does is it keeps the same amount of spacing between sheet notes. We're drawing the plans for the people who actually use them, the people with the hammers out there in the field that are actually doing the layout and stuff. So these plans have to be readable. And so one of our primary concerns is making sure that the plans are easy to read, that they're not overly confusing, and yet that they provide the information the folks out in the field actually need. So I'm going to go back to Google Sheets, and I'm going to select this guy here and Control C. And we'll go back to our previous method of just selecting text here. And in the info box, you can see that's what the text says, text. I'm going to select that and hit Control V to import my selection. And I'm going to hit Enter on my keyboard. And I'm going to change the color to black because that's done. Oops. Try that again. I think I hit the A to apply. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going back to, and while I'm here, I might as well just turn this one red, so I know I've done it. And so now I'm going to select this one and hit Control C, and go back to Dcad and select this one, and in an info box, select text and hit Control V, hit Enter. And then hit the A to apply the black to that text. And so now I'm going to zoom up on that area so you can see how far we've got. So we've gone through 5 specific sheet notes. Some of them are single line, some of them are double line. When we get to the foundation plan, we're going to have, like one of them at least has 6 lines. So we'll be moving these things up and down. But one of the main things we're trying to do is keep the same amount of spacing between blocks of text so that they're legible and easy for the folks to see. So I'm going to hit Control W. I'm going to save the drawing right now, and we'll be moving this floor plan up to the corner out of the way so we can import other ones a little bit later on. But we're going to just deal with them with the sheet notes for right now because we're dealing with a sheet note legend. So I've saved the drawing, and so what you can do is you can just continue to, I got to change the color in this one too, in Google Sheets, and I'm going to turn that to red also. So, and actually, I can hit this, which will tell me that the whole thing is red and done. Okay, so floor plan sheet notes are basically done. We still have additional sheet notes to deal with. You can go ahead and copy these. Just kind of bounce back and forth between this video and your Google Sheets to type this information in. So that concludes Dcad lesson 13A, having to do with drawing organization and sheet notes.
Hang out with me. There's no point. There's no point in me just sitting here if you're just going to go do your own thing.